One. What's going on, everybody? It's Matt, aka the Lumberjack Landlord, here with my good buddies Millennial Mike and Dion. How you guys doing? We're ready for a fun live stream for this afternoon, for at least a little bit anyway.
Yeah, it's going good, man. We're excited to be here. I have Dion visiting me in my studio, and he's realized that it's much smaller than it seems behind the camera.
I figured if I came over here, this would be one of those videos where he has to wear pants. So,
well, you thought wrong.
Well, awesome. So we had a bunch of things that we wanted to cover today. The amazing Arctic blast in the east, just deals that we're working on, everything going on. So potpourri, what would you guys like to tackle first?
Well, the fun topic here in Washington is that rent control looks like it's going to pass for the state.
Oh no, get out.
The House, which I'm half tempted to go and testify when it goes to the Senate, right?
I think you should do that.
I'm just way too lazy.
He'll drive you there.
People don't understand or haven't thought through the damage it does to tenants.
Sure.
Putting together the logic process of owners had the ability to adjust the rents if there was a black swan event like a pandemic or an eviction moratorium. So you didn't have to raise rents for several years. My brother hasn't in over a decade. I have a friend with 30 rentals that has units in place from 2005 that have the same rents. Because if their costs ever went up, they could adjust the rents. But if you have rent control in place, they're literally forced every year to do the maximum allowable rent. Yeah. Some people, owners will just panic because it's governmental control they don't want. They'll sell their units. Like in Seattle, we lost 3,000 rental units when something that even sounded like rent control came in. Yeah. They turn into short-term or mid-term rentals, so you have less long-term. So they're not all going to sell. It's not going to put houses back on the market. Right. There's, the idea is there's guys like me that have one single-family house, have 16 rentals. The rest are all duplex, triplex, and fourplex. So trying to force out landlords isn't putting more houses on the market. Those are buildings that were specifically designed to be rentals. Right. You're going to have so much negative impact, and then people will say, well, I'm a renter, my rent would stay the same and it would protect me. And I was like, yeah, right. If you move, your rent will double, right? Because the average rents will continue to go up massively. And it's not sometimes that you're going to move, you're going to be moved. The owner is going to say, I'm moving in. So you have 90 days to get out. The owner is going to say, I have to rehab the unit. You have 60 days to get out. The owner is going to say, I'm selling the unit. You have to get out. So there will be people that are forced out, people whose rents will go up that weren't. All of these things that aren't being thought through. And the 2 minutes that I just took to explain that, it's too much effort for me to go and talk to the legislature. Here's the other benefit. It's going to triple my income.
I know. I know.
I wouldn't do increases because we just had such a big increase. I wouldn't do increases for 3 or 4 years. My rents are stabilized where I want them to be. And now I'm going to have to do the maximum each year in case in 2032, there's a black swan event that nobody can plan for that's going to increase my costs again as an investor, as an owner. And so my tenants' rents are going to continue to go up, which sucks for the renters. Yeah. So am I selfish because I'm like, yeah, it's going to benefit me? I'll just sit back and watch this blow up.
When Seattle instituted something approximating rent control a couple of years back, overnight, not quite overnight, but overnight, about 3,000 rental units in the city evaporated because landlords said, I can't make a profit. I'll sell them. We'll turn these into condos and we will sell them. So a bunch more unbelievably high-priced $800,000 median-priced condos came on the market for the rich tech workers. Right. But the person who got screwed over was the person who needed to rent. And that will happen large scale across the entire state. In fact, I think it'll be pretty hard to find just about anybody who actually benefits from this, unless you truly are that one person who's hoping to just die in their unit 20 years from now. There are those people out there, but for the majority of individuals who live and who are renters, they are partway through the process from moving out from mom and dad's house. You do 10 years of living with roommates. In fact, they made a show after it called Friends. It's what everybody does in their 20s. It's normal. You live with roommates, and then eventually you get your starter house, and then you work your way up to your, American dream, big, white picket fence. But if you wipe out more rental units and you make the remaining ones more expensive, you essentially kind of get trapped in this area right here. And it gets harder and harder to ever get out. And I think it actually compounds because one of the things that I've noticed is I've toured a lot of new home build communities. They don't make a starter house anymore. The builders have decided it's not worth their time. So the gap between being a renter and actually making it up to owning your own real estate. It's getting larger because they don't have starter homes, and they're making it more expensive to rent. So it's harder to save money to ever get in the first place. I don't think it's going to work out to people's advantage, but you'll never be able to convince them of that.
So here in New Hampshire, there was one side of the aisle that was telling everybody, we're gonna do it. We're gonna pass rent control this year. We're gonna do it. And everyone's like looking at them going, what? And they proposed it, and it was voted on last week, and it lost 18-1. Suck it.
So here's the
18 to
difference
1.
here.
Yeah.
We only have one aisle currently.
Yeah.
All three are one aisle.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
not good.
Well, but there's the problem, and that's why it passed, right? Or that's why it will pass. You know, so what's really interesting is, excuse me, what's really interesting is that it lost 18-1, and then they tried to backdoor something that was basically a registry where you would register how much you're charging your rent for your rents. You know, basically you report what the unit was, you would report what you were charging for rent. So everyone's like looking at this going, okay, why would we need to do that if rental control is never going to be a situation? So we're all just like, okay. So apparently there weren't as many right people because that got defeated 16-3. The good news is wait another 100 years and you might have a shot, but don't bet on it. So again, that's one of the things that we talk about. There's real estate investors making money in every single market. But if you're choosing and starting from scratch, do the work, investigate a little bit, understand what you're looking at, because will a guy like Dion and Mike be fine if rent control is instituted? Absolutely. Will a brand new landlord be fine if rent control is instituted? The answer is no.
Here's the change that happens for the brand new one.
Yeah.
I like to buy properties that are already occupied or rent ready, right? And then I work with the tenants. I improve the property. I don't go up to area average rents. I don't kick the tenant out. If you can't raise rents to a number that makes sense, even with something like the binder strategy,
yep,
then owners, to get the best price, are going to have to kick tenants out in order to sell. So it's going to displace tenants in order to make a property worth selling. And then, yeah, the barrier to get into it is harder also.
That's exactly
right. I think that ultimately there's two types of rent control. There's the honest version, and then there's the lying version. And a lot of the politicians want to pass this new version, which I consider the lying version or the dishonest version, because it sounds good to say we're enacting rent control, vote for us, we're getting your results. But the rent control light or the rent control lie is, well, we're still going to allow landlords to raise the rents, but we're going to cap it at only, something like 5% a year. Okay, well, what that means is that it's a guaranteed 5% increase every single year. So you actually did the exact opposite of what you ran on, the platform that you ran on. You lied to your constituents. We're telling you right now that this is how it's going to be, and you're going to put your head in the sand so that you can say you delivered on rent control. That is rent control light. That's what they've done in California. And then there's true rent control, which is what happened in New York back in the 70s and 80s, where they literally just said you cannot raise rents anymore. Eventually, the property taxes caught up in just a couple of years, wiped out any and all profit. Individual landlords stopped making money, then started losing money, couldn't even sell the building at a loss because no one else wanted an asset that was losing money. And it eventually resulted in people trying to burn their buildings down just to collect the insurance money to get out from under them. So how somebody can look at the historical data that proves in multiple large cities like this that it doesn't work and then say, well, we'll just try it again. It almost sounds like some systems of governments that existed in other parts of the country we keep trying to try. I just don't understand it.
Well, the rent control explains why rent is so low in New York and Los Angeles. I mean, we could look at just the data.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's super cheap to live there.
Yeah.
This is a fundamental disagreement I have. Instead of passing laws to force behavior, you should pass laws that incentivize behavior.
Of course.
You want to keep rents low, we need to cut regulations on builders and give them tax breaks to build as much as they possibly can. And if you can flood the market with supply, that will keep the rents stable. Probably wouldn't be able to flood it enough to actually bring prices down. But if you kept rents stable just for 10 years, well, people's wages increase, and then their money they spend on rent relative to what they make in nominal dollars, it will eventually catch up and be a lower cost. But again, government, just one side likes to use the hammer of control. And then the other side says, why don't we incentivize with tax break and regulation cuts? And I know which one I'm in favor of, never forcing people to do something. Make them make that choice themselves.
So it's in leadership, you understand the concept of the carrot or the stick.
Right.
You know, I prefer the phrase be the cookies or the stick. But
Well, you don't need a lot of carrots there, Matt.
it's probably my favorite vegetable, but I still prefer cookies, Michael. And that's just the way it's going to be. But I did see that we got a question from Jay Aguilar, and I missed his question last week. He told me, so I apologize, Jay. Never mean to miss a question, but I had gotten, to my own defense, I'd gotten 7 hours of sleep in 3 days. So I missed a lot of things, including my own name was when I walked upstairs. It's like, what is, oh yeah. So Jay, question for all you, knowing what you know now, how much would you save up, or how much would it take to be financially independent? What would be a good number in today's economy? I don't know. I have a lavish lifestyle. Just kidding. I have 3 young kids. So I think Mike knows, Mike, and I'll tell you a truck story. It really depends on what you want your life to be. Like, there's the concept, and Dion knows these better than all of us. It is, the lean fire concept, or the fat fire concept, or the fire concept. And it's all how you want to live those years of your life. And for me, I want FU money. I want to do whatever I want to do. If I want to go on a, $10,000 vacation, or take a month off like Dion, or, go get a full body tattoo, which would, probably create a shortage in ink. If I wanted to go do any of that stuff, I want to go do it and stroke a check or put it on a card or whatever, and just pay it off. So for me, I don't really think I have a number that it's just like, I never had a number that I was like going to where I have to get to 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000. It was always just, I wanted to kind of get to the point where at any point I could go buy or do whatever I wanted and not think about the money. So it was much more how I felt about money than it was about a number, for me anyway.
For the rest of us mere mortals that don't want to have the ability to do anything we want anytime, you have
I'm
the
still
data.
working.
Exactly. So you have the data. A lot of people try to project what they think the next 6 months is going to look like when they pull the trigger on retirement. And instead of doing that, let's look at the last 6 months. Yeah. And almost every expense is going to go down except healthcare. So you need to find out what healthcare is going to cost you. Matt, you did that with the LLC. You figured out the structure to get this in place, to get your insurance in place. For a lot of people who don't have pre-existing or young children that are going to have these issues, you can just actually look at what is your employer paying for healthcare. Because right now you're paying 5 to 10%. Employer's paying 90 to 95%. You're going to pay 100%. So you need an asset to cover that expense. Most other things go down. You're not commuting to work. You don't have to eat out every day because you're getting lunches or whatever. You don't have to have those work expenses. But you're going to continue to eat pretty much the same kind of foods. You're probably going to do the same amount of entertainment, because a lot of people think, well, I have 15 hours a day instead of 4 where I can go do anything I want. Well, a lot of that's not going out and spending money every minute of the day. You're going to take vacations from your vacation life, but you have the data from the last 6 months. So look at credit cards, bank statements, receipts. What have you been spending money on?
That's right.
Figure out healthcare. That's what it's going to look like for going forward. And for me, it was around $2,500 a month. So I figured 4,000 was safe. That would cover healthcare. That would cover, I literally have a budget of $1,000 a month. My goal is to spend $1,000 a month on food. So some people might, and that's just a person, right? So your family might be different. Most people can do it for $200 or $300 a month, but I don't shop. I don't cook. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I always eat out. So when I figured 4,000 was my freedom number, you asked about financial freedom. That's when I would say, okay, I'm financially free if I have $4,000 a month coming in. You look at your receipts, it might be 8,000, it might be 1,000, it might be 10,000, whatever the number is based on your history. I didn't retire until I hit 4 times that number, right? I had 4 times my freedom number coming in. So financial freedom didn't mean, okay, I'm never going to work again. Because now what happens if there is a black swan event and you have a big expense or a new health concern that is very expensive, or you do something stupid like go on a date. But when you have 4 times your freedom number coming in, I kind of have the Matt opinion. I'm not going to have 3 Lamborghinis in the driveway. Which is right. But you don't know. You might like different colors. I can spend at least $10,000 a month on a cruise, another country, a trip, find somebody that I know and just try to make their life better with that money somehow. I'm working on ways to do that and not impact my actual expenses that I have coming in with that 4 times number. So that's how I would look at it. What is financial freedom? And then what would you actually need coming in to just say, okay, I'm never going to work again? Those are 2 different numbers.
Yeah, I think so.
I think when somebody comes up to me and asks, what color is your Bugatti? I want to be able to orange. So there will be no financial, Jeff Ed knows what I'm talking about. There'll be no financial freedom for me until it is a very fat financial freedom, financial independence, retire early. So
you could buy 45 homes in Gary, Indiana for 1 Bugatti.
I could buy the whole city dang near.
Maybe at the tax sale, but legit, you could buy 45 homes for the price of a nice Bugatti.
Where Dion's like, hey, yeah, I need an asset for every expense. I need about 13 assets for the gas to go into the Bugatti.
Yeah. No, they do. They get great gas mileage. It's about 11 miles a gallon.
Yeah.
So I think Dion hit the nail on the head on the insurance stuff. Like, we're looking at our family plan is going to cost us about $2,600 a month out of pocket. The only way to pay for $2,600 is to make $4,000. So I'm not going to likely have 1 asset to cover my healthcare. I'll need 2. Way it goes, but that's the way it goes. That's the way the system's set up. So the only way to do is set it up that way. One of the things that I saw Jeff mention, which I want to just spend a second on, was what happens when big cities run out of affordable housing and people like waiters, barbers, police, sewermen, police who keep infrastructure going can't live there anymore. What happens to that city? Hey, Millennial Mike, why don't you tell us what happens to that city?
There's a couple of things. So number one, all of the cops, all of the firefighters move as far away from the city as physically possible while still being within commuting distance. So I have an office that's in Seattle. I have to live within 45 miles of that office to have a take-home car. I live 44.7 miles away from that office, as does every other officer that I know. You pick the epicenter and you go north, you go south, and unfortunately, if you go east, you end up in expensive Bellevue. So people live north and south and they commute in. So yeah, the first thing that happens is when you price out that lower end of the market, people move away and then they commute back. The second thing that happens is politicians come up with a brilliant idea. Oh, well, why don't we just subsidize it? We'll make first responders, teachers, and nurses down payment assistance programs and this, that, and it sounds really good, and it might get them some votes, but ultimately what it does is that it allows an entire portion of the population to overpay for assets, and then everybody bids the price up on things because now you can afford more because you're getting subsidized. So it doesn't actually help the problem for a small you capture a small period of time where briefly some people could afford stuff they couldn't before, but then it just quickly, the market shifts and adjusts, everything goes up in price. And that's why you have someplace like Seattle with a median household average of like $900,000.
Yeah. When I was first in tech, I was driving 80 miles each way every day to work. So I'd spend an hour and a half because it was a lot of highway, but then you'd get to like the more congested parts. And so it was like, I was dropping literally an hour and a half to 2 hours each way every day to get to work, but it was the high tech hub. The problem is in the high tech hub, until you're really successful, you couldn't really afford to live. And I didn't want roommates. I had a good roommate situation where I lived and it was super cheap. And it was like, I can do this for a few years and save up a ton of money. And that's what I did. I was paying $250 a month for rent and renting out a room from a good buddy of mine. And I was like, and I'll just keep on, socking money away. So that's exactly right, though, Jeff, is that what ends up happening, and Hyder kind of answered the question. That's exactly what creates the issue. What creates the issue is the fact that when you keep on giving stuff like that away, hold on. What basically happens is when you actually do that process, it will end up making the places unaffordable where then no one can live there. And then you end up having to pay waiters, $75,000 a year, and then everybody wonders why their burger just costs $27. Like, that's how it ends up. That's how inflation is the rising tide that lifts all boats in a bad way.
Yeah.
Angel R, The rent box sheet from Lumberjack is of great help in pricing units. Thank you very much. We actually are going to have a guest on the show sometime next week, I believe, because they used the rent box, learned that they were overpriced in their market, and were able to price accordingly and get a tenant within a few days. So that's what the purpose of the rent box is. What did you guys see? You guys see any other questions that you wanted to get to? Dung Tai's here. Hey, Dung Tai. Dung Tai is, you guys don't, I'm not sure if you guys have met Dung Tai. Dung Tai has 66 units.
Gangster.
That he has a couple property managers on, and he is in the process of going through the Lumberjack Landlord course to alleviate some current pain.
Nice.
These
where? Do you know where?
Charlatans. Yes, in New York. I believe in not New York, but I believe not a suburb of, but suburb adjacent in New York. So more in the rural part of New York. But good to have Dung Tai back. I know that he's crazy busy managing those landlords, managing those property managers, which can be challenging.
I see we have a super chat from Brian.
We do. Yes.
Brian is, I believe, a driver.
He is.
And self-manages his rentals. So thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. I was looking to see if there was a question. I don't to make sure we miss it. So if I did, let me know.
He did make another comment further down. He goes, "Hi, trucking landlord. I'm an on the road landlord.
Over the
road landlord. Also, it is hard at times. Yeah, man. Yeah, it is. It's kind of hard. So tomorrow, just so you guys know, I'm doing a live stream with financial firefighter Marco Shiro and one of my mentors, Maskey Finance, and we all invest at a distance and we all manage via property managers at a distance. So tomorrow we're doing a live stream on my channel that will answer all questions about property managers, how to vet property managers, how to manage your property manager, how to communicate with your property manager. So all the stuff that neither one of these guys can tell you about, because guess what? They self-manage. Ha! I cornered the market on something. So come watch.
There is a question I want to address.
Yes.
And Jeff is asking me to say the saying, and I'm not sure which one. I will remember the saying, but not today. Mike, when are you going to purchase your next house hack?
Bro, oh, that's actually a really good question. So Dion has been telling me that I need to house hack again. I agree with him 100%. The way that promotions work in law enforcement is you take this test, then you get ranked, and then based where you were ranked, when a promotion becomes available, you can accept it. Now I try not to tell exactly where I work, but there was a potentially, if I took a promotion, it could result in me needing to move. I explained the 45-mile thing earlier. I might have to move. So I was waiting to get a house hack until I took a promotion and potentially moved, and then I would just get a house hack when I moved. But unfortunately, it's taken so long. I think I'm just going to say no to the promotion because it's not worth my time, effort, and energy to go back to night shift and potentially get kicked off the SWAT team because I get promoted and I love the SWAT team. Like I just say, screw it. I've only got a couple years left here anyways. I think I'm just going to house hack to get in this area. So I'm actively looking as of right now. I'm going to go to realtor.com. That's why I'm on my phone.
I've heard that the market's collapsing where you are. That's what I've seen or heard.
So
it's only up 7-point-something% in our area. We're making a video for One Rental at a Time today on the markets that are crashing. And there's one that's over 40% up.
Yeah. So, one of the things Zuber is famous for talking about, he talks about how he, because of the affordability index, moved out of single family homes a year or two prior to the recession happening and started moving into small multi-units because the affordability index, those were still affordable. They cash flowed really well. And so, of course, you look in hindsight, you're like, wow, you're a genius. Well, if you apply the affordability index right now, first of all, 2022 was the second worst year for affordability to buy a house since 1980. Out of the 53-year spreadsheet, 2022 was second worst. 2021 was second best. So that is a huge flip-flop. Amazing. And then the first best was 2010, for those of you who don't know, right out of the recession. So not all aspects of a real estate market are crashing or appreciating at the same rate, right? So multifamily and single family houses were separate, bifurcated, I guess, back in 2006, 2007 when I was in high school. I just rubbed that in your guys' face. Anyways, In our area, and Dion agrees with me with this because we've chatted about it before, investing in single family homes as rental properties doesn't really work, especially new build single family homes. Remember the $900,000 median price for a house in Seattle? Great, it rents for $3,000. You don't even come close to covering your mortgage payment on it. So is there potentially weakness at the way above the median up here? Yeah, I think there is definitely some potential. Do I think that that's going to crash all assets in a real estate market? Or do I think that even the weakness in those high priced new build homes is enough weakness to even affect the larger market? Probably not. I really don't think it is. But could we see, and we have seen, because if you go tours through these new build communities, are they offering price reductions, rate buy downs, and free upgrades? Yeah, they are. So they are feeling some pain. But I don't think it's going to collapse the entire market. And I don't think you're going to see that even closer to the median, especially at the median or below the median. Below the median, we're still seeing people bid up, actually. We're still seeing people get into bidding wars. As soon as interest rates went down below 6%, it started kicking off people fighting against each other over houses. Go ahead.
Here's all people need to think about. So, Mike, in your market, what is the median home price?
Well, in my specific city?
In the one that some units were toured. What was the
so where we went and toured those new home builds, it was they were between 500 to 600.
What's the median home price today?
I mean, it's still 500 to 600 because prices haven't gone down. They're just offering.
But median home price in that market's 500, and the houses that are being built and try to be sold, the new construction, are 500 to 600. Right. So they're median plus. So every single time one of those sells, the median price goes up further. Right. And it's, again, I explained it on a video last week. The issue is, it's not that the lower stuff, median and lower, it's not that that's going down. It's not that it's crashing. It's not that it's even reducing. It's not that it's going down. My whole call for median pricing going down is that the luxury market disappears and that the move-up market becomes fractionalized. That's why it's going to go down. That's it. And that's the only shot that it has of going down. That's it. That's the only shot. Otherwise, it ain't going to go down. I saw one question I wanted to make sure to get an answer to, because somebody asked, Tim Laycock. Hi, Tim. Do you keep track of install dates on items like water heaters, roof replacements, etc.? Do you cover this in module 8 of my course? I certainly do. And the other thing that we keep track of in that course is as well is called documenting your unit. And there's the reason that we do that stuff. We actually will take a picture if they're units, if they're items or systems specific to that unit. We actually have that on that document your unit piece, where we make sure that we've documented, breakers, the breaker panel, the heating system, the hot water tank, all of that stuff is in there. That way, when we get the call saying, hey, we're having an issue with this system, I look, if it's a water heater that's 8 years old, replace. We don't repair anything, replace. If it's a hot water heater unit that's 3 years old, we'll repair it. Because usually it's also likely that it could be in the warranty phase. So that's a great question, but that is something that we cover extensively in the Oh Shit, I'm a Landlord Now What, which is my course, which has a syllabus video on here by that name. Glover, thanks very much for the super chat. Hello, everyone. Mike, do you play COD? Call of Duty, I guess?
Call of Duty. I have always been more of a Halo fan myself. My son right now is downstairs playing the Master Chief Collection. I played original Call of Duty back when it was based on World War II and it was like historically accurate. And you got to play through the actual campaigns that the Allied forces went through when they fought in World War II. I loved the storyline. I loved the gameplay. Once it became modern warfare, my brother kept playing and I guess I got old. And so now I only play games that it came out 20 years ago. So I don't play currently.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. Jeff. Yeah. I talked to Jeff the other day, Jeff M. Yeah. Matt told me on the phone, the other day. Yep. I own 2 single family homes because they suck when I live in. That's true. That is what I said. I hate single family homes. They don't make any money where I live. So if they don't make any money where I live, I do this to make money. Thank you, Hyder, for putting the link for the course in there. You guys can read up on that. That's just the syllabus. Jeffrey White, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Thank you all for being and providing so much value. you are very welcome. We're happy to do this. It's really kind of funny. We talk about it all the time. All we do is basically turn the camera on, because this is kind of what it's like for us when we hang out or we'll just chat, and Dion's got free time.
So this is a lot less don't sue me, bro conversation when the camera's on.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the things that are said and done to each other in the process of communication are sometimes fun, but definitely lawsuit worthy.
Most of us are in the group chat with each other, and then every now and then I know, because it's not just me, we all text each other privately going, did that offend you? Where's the edge?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so far so good. R6, you need to get in the course. We'd love to have you. The guys that are, honestly, there have been a lot of students that have already completed the course. They've crushed it. The questions were awesome. The feedback has been spectacular. If you're in the course, you can certainly give feedback. I don't want to put words in your mouth. If you thought it was awesome, say it was awesome. If you thought it sucked, you can say it sucked, and then I'll fail you. I'm just teasing. There's no pass or fail. But yeah, say if you thought it was awesome, say so. If you thought it sucked, you can say that too. But if you say it sucked, I need to know why you thought it sucked, because we want to get it better. There was another, Frank Contreras. All right, Frank, I'm waiting for your, hey, you guys are awesome. I believe you. Thanks for the super chat for the $5, but we'd like to answer a question for you too. If you have a question that you'd like us to answer, we are ready and waiting for your question since you gave that super chat. Appreciate it. Rob, I'm waiting for the Lumberjack training layaway program. Yeah, we'll contact a firm or SoFi. A firm. I tell you, I call that company. I think that company is absolutely going to blow up unless somebody really big takes it over and then rids their books of all the junk. Sierra Smith, me too, R6, waiting to get some money from a recent purchase because it feels like I'm too broke for it. All the money is. Yes, at the moment, I get it. Yeah, I totally get it. And at the end of the day, guys, one of the things that I ask the students too is, hey, the course is $1,000. Did you get $1,000 worth of value out of it? Did you get $10,000 worth of value out of it? I think there's no doubt in my mind that people will get thousands of dollars of value every single year out of that course based on what we're teaching. And Mike, you've taken the course. You tell me.
I took the course as an understatement. The intimate familiarization that I have with that course is beyond what anyone else will ever experience. Okay.
That's true.
When you edit something, you pretty much are guaranteed to have to watch it a minimum of 2 times, probably 3. So there's nobody who has anything on me compared to that course. Yes. This might be actually a good time for us to kind of tease what we're going to do. So we're going to make an official video and put it in the course. But for anybody who's in the military, I'm not, Dion was, or anybody who's in law enforcement, there's something called challenge coins, okay? Now, these challenge coins have to be earned. This one right here is from Metro TRT Tactical Response Team. So I earned this one assisting what's called Valley SWAT in a mission that we did where we got shot at. And so they give challenge coins out to other teams when they assist them, right? So for the SWAT team that I'm on, you have to spend over a year in the probationary phase, training, doing missions, putting yourself in harm's way, and eventually, after getting through that rigorous process, you get your SWAT coin. It's unbelievably valuable. It is an emotional thing that you have. It's something that only other people on the team get. You can't give it. There's only 2 ways to earn it: be on the team or have a family member who was on the team and died in action. Right. So there's 2 sons for a friend of mine who they got their coins because they paid the ultimate price of their father's life. But other than that, you have to earn it. And so what we've decided to do was take this concept and apply it to our little family here. And specifically with Matt's course, we want this coin to be hard to earn because we don't want everybody to get it because it's rare. But the idea is we're going to ask people who are going through the course to make either their own YouTube channel or their own TikTok channel, something like that. Has to be public. And we want you to do a book report on each one of the modules. Just a 3-minute video, or if it's TikTok, a couple of short 1-minute videos about what you learned in the Lumberjack Landlord's course. A couple of reasons why. Number one, we get to track your progress and really make sure that you aren't just playing the videos on in the background where you're doing your laundry, which nothing wrong with that. That's what I do too. But we want you to learn from it. Number two, if you go through that entire process and do your homework assignment for all the different modules, at the end, you're going to get one of these challenge coins. Lumberjack's going to design one for his channel. It's going to be the Lumberjack Landlord Challenge coin. But the nice thing with that coin is If you work that hard and you produce that content that essentially helps us share the message and helps us check your knowledge, that coin gets to buy you access. Because on site, the way the swap coin works, if I'm ever seen by anybody outside of work, I'm on vacation, I'm at the store, and somebody comes up to me and they coin me, which is what it's called, you get coined, you had better be able to produce yours or it's not going to be good. First of all, you owe everybody drinks at the next time there's a get together, which is expensive. And number two, you're going to get smoked when you get back to training because you're going to get ratted out to whoever the commander is, and you're going to get known you didn't have your coin on you. So if you have one of these, they're supposed to be hard to get. If you see Lumberjack at an event, you see something like that, it buys a few minutes of his time in a one-on-one conversation. So, and I'll let you go ahead and carry on from there.
That sums it up. I mean, we wanted to do something special for you guys. There's just no doubt in my mind that what I taught in that course will make you a better landlord. It will make you a lot more money. It will save you major mistakes. It will make your experience far greater. It will allow you to grow your business better, faster, cleaner, smarter, all of those things. It's how I built my business. So one of the things that I literally talked to Mike about was I wanted something great, something special for people that really understood that I'm really invested in you. I invested a lot of time, effort, energy, money into this course because I wanted it to be great for landlords that either A, are convinced that they want to be a landlord and that they know that they need processes and systems in place to start things off, or that they were already in it and they know that they could do it better. They just didn't know how to make it better. And I needed to put it on a completely separate platform, separate from Facebook and everything else. That way, you know, your data is not being sold. It's an amazing group. And anybody that's in the course, I'd love to have you participate and say, hey, we love kind of, or say whatever you want to say, but we have it in an arena where it is a place where people can go to learn. And the most important thing to me is that you guys can give me, you can sing the song back to me of value, because I want this making landlords elite, that they feel far more confident and far more bulletproof in how they're building their portfolio, how they're managing their systems, the systems that they're creating to help keep costs down. This is what's going to make you elite. And I wanted to do something really special for you guys that literally you show me that coin, I'll spend time with you in person when we're in amongst together. But Mike, it was, a fantastic idea by Mike. The challenge coin thing was newer to me, but I loved the idea and just wanted to give you guys something special. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. So that was good. One quick thing before we get to Frank Contreras's question was I saw a weather question. Lumberjack, my dude, I have a couple of small rentals in upstate New York. I used mini splits on them. Yep, I get it. I bet you had a problem when it was cold out. They worked great until recent cold snap where it went to 25 below zero. Yep, sounds right. I'm assuming that you got hit by that. I did. We did get crushed. We had 17 line breaks. We'll have a video coming out that I did with Dion just talking about it, but basically it was only 6 of my 137 units. So kind of a win. I'll take it. But yeah, I was out busy. I was out for 37 out of 44 hours that weekend fixing stuff. So it left a lot to be desired. So the answer to your question is how do you deal with that? Space heater. We had dripping lines. You want to make sure that you're letting your tenants know, leave the water dripping just a little bit, because stagnant water is frozen water. If it's dripping just a little bit, it doesn't stay in the same place long enough where it will drip. Second thing is a space heater. I have oil fired space heaters where you can just plug them into the wall. They're all self-contained. That will also help you because usually water is focused in a given area in a unit. It's usually bathroom and kitchen or all around each other. So I would also do that as well. If you know the place is at risk. The third thing is, most importantly, if a place is at risk and we had pops on lines like we did, guess what we did? We spent this entire week re-engineering, redoing everything and making sure that if we ever have minus 37 degrees, it was actually get to minus 47 wind chill. We got minus in the teens, real numbers. When that happens, we got all of our the holes in the armor were exposed. So we addressed all of those items this week. Now we know moving forward, if it happens again, those same places. My rule with my guys is it can't be the same thing again. If it happens one time and there was just nothing we could do to know because things are behind walls, we don't know. But if it happens a second time, that means we didn't repair it right the first time. And so second time occurrences are what bother me, not first time occurrences. But that's what I would do. That's what will keep you likely in the money and safe. Jason Ray, thank you very much for the super chat from Jason Ray. I appreciate you guys. Dion, what would you like to jump in on, my man? It's your turn.
Well, I was answering a couple questions in the chat. So the first was Rob asked if we were going to ever purchase over 4 units. And it's fixed rate debt that keeps me in 4 units, except there's a couple of lenders like Convoy Home Loans that has up to 8 units fixed rate debt. So my surge goes up to 8. And then Jeff was asking, he said, other than cash, are there other forms of payment that you don't take? And I actually take cash. I send an email receipt and report the income. Like, so it's a legal form of tender, right, of currency. What I don't like is money orders or cashier's checks. One of them, you can't deposit with an app. So I like to make deposits with an app and not have to go to the bank.
Yeah.
Cash, the one kind of negative is if you get a bunch of it all at once, you're going to have to take a trip to the bank. So I try to avoid that. But there are tenants who just don't like banks, don't want to use them. I have this one tenant pays in cash all the time. It's always covered in glitter, and he's my age, my shape, and former Marine. So I know he's not out there on a pole.
Don't judge.
Right, don't judge. There's a market for everything.
Yeah.
But I just send an email saying this month's been paid. This is the amount I've received. I'm trying to think of a form of payment that I don't take, and I can't think. I won't accept crypto currently, but we'll see what the future holds for that.
Yeah, I think you just want to make it as easy to accept money however they want to pay you. You know, whether if they want to do Zelle, I'll figure out Zelle. They want to do Venmo, we do Venmo. You know, whatever. Like if you want to give me money, let me make it easy for you.
First rule of business: make it easy for your people to pay you. Just that simple.
Yeah, I have the 3 things. The first is make it easy on the tenant. The second is it leaves a paper trail, even if it's electronic. And third, it tries to save me a trip to the bank. Those are my rules of accepting rents.
The other thing that I do too is when I accept cash is I will take cash. I will write them a receipt, but I'll also send them a text message because that way I can look. Sorry.
So I did an email because that's admissible in court.
Yep, absolutely.
And so text or in your area, that's fine, but ours they're not.
Nope, absolutely. And that way it's just so a reminder from me. You know, it's more just a reminder from me because I'd be the one accusing them of not paying something. So if they say something, you know, hey, check out, you sent me this text message and they say, you're right, I'm an idiot, I apologize. Thankfully, I've never had to make that admission in that respect before. And I think I got Jason Ray. I think I answered your question. Let me know if I missed it. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Mike, your turn. What would you like to answer?
Shoot, there was a couple questions up here. And one of them was if somebody asked if we were going to buy 5 units or more. So I'm all for buying 5 units or more. I'm not going to buy it at the rates that they have right now. If I could get a seller finance deal in 5 units or more, heck yeah, I'll buy it. Maybe I would buy it with the rates there now if I was able to talk them down to a cheap enough purchase price that it made sense. Because there's a couple of ways to get your monthly payment. You can try to get purchase price down, or what usually seems to be easier is you can try to affect the interest rate. That seems to be a much easier thing to do. The problem is with 5 units or more, as Dion mentioned, you have to get commercial lending. And I had a quote on a 5-unit building just a month ago with Velocity Mortgage, Stephen Dow, and it was a 9.99% interest rate with all these points. And I was like, dude, this just is not worth it. I can't make sense of the numbers even come close to it. So I think that his program is really good.
Yeah. If
you had bought a 5-unit property years ago, it had gone way up in value, and the rents that you have now appreciated to an insane amount that you can afford to fix your rate with a high interest rate, or to fix your debt at a higher interest rate because you have rents that support it. But if you're trying to buy something today, when the market rents are, maybe they're a little low, but they're closer to where they're going to be, it doesn't make sense to get such a huge interest rate and still also pay top dollar. So seller financing, absolutely, I would buy a 100-unit building if I could Cody and Christian style it, seller financing it, and it cash flowed and it all worked for me. But those are just really tough to find.
Since you guys are saying if you make a channel, that's one of the ways to get the challenge coin. There's a question to you on how would you get started with a PC or Mac? What's your recommendation on what to edit on? Because you edit much more than we do.
So if you go back and watch my channel at the very beginning, I started with my crappy phone.
Yes.
And I tell everybody, dude, just get started. It'll get better as time goes, because there's people out there who are perfectionists and they don't want to do anything until they can get it right.
Right.
And I respect that with certain things in life. However, building a YouTube channel is not one of them. There's so many different things that you're going to slowly improve on over time. Like, for those who want to go watch my original videos, please don't. They're so cringy. I leave them up because they're part of the journey, but they're not. I'm not proud of them. Okay.
I wouldn't be.
Right. They're just I go back and look, I'm like, oh my God, I look so awful. But yeah, dude, just start with your phone. So, I mean, that's how, if you look at Graham Stephan or Meet Kevin, you can scroll all the way back and there's Meet Kevin standing next to some desk, like touching the desk awkwardly every couple of seconds. And he's like hunched over, and you're kind of laughing because you're like, dude, this is the most commercialized dude that there is. And he's so out of his element day one of his video, but like, that's how everybody starts out. So I would say the most important thing is to get started, and you improve one thing at a time. Like, eventually you'll get an actual camera. Maybe eventually you even edit it. For a long time, I edited on a $3 app on my phone, and all I did was chop the beginning and the end. That's it. A couple of years ago, I finally decided to take it to the next level, and I started putting in video overlays and putting in graphs and some sound effects and some music to try to make it better for you guys. So, but dude, just get started.
Yeah. One of the things that we're really focused on when it comes to like the challenge coin thing is it can be something as it can be a 1 minute thing on YouTube, because you can do a 1 minute recording. I think on Instagram, you can do the same.
Yep.
I think on TikTok, they limit you to what, 15 or 30 seconds.
You can do up to 3 minutes now, but it used to be limited.
Yeah. So the big thing is literally just a recording like that. Just one, you're pointing your phone at you. I just want to make sure that you've done the course and that that you're able to speak some of it back, and say, this was the part that was most impactful. Because what I learned was I have asked probably 30 people's opinions. And I think so far, the highest ranking number that I've gotten back on the section that they love the most, the highest number was 5. That was 5. It was 5. 5 people thought one section was the most valuable, but I've asked 30, and there's actually like 28 sections. Mm-hmm. So that's what I find most interesting is it really meets you where you're at, managing your business the way you want to manage it. So I have no interest in telling you what was the most valuable to you. I have no interest in telling you what you learned. Just be honest, just be transparent. I want to make sure that people know what you learned. That's it. And I want it because that way I can validate that you actually took it and didn't just, and that the reason we created a separate environment, the reason I put on a different platform than Facebook is I wanted you guys to focus. I didn't want you getting binged and banged by, friend's message and this message on Facebook and this person just posted a message and this person had a memory. Don't care. I don't care about any of that stuff. I wanted you focused in the game, listening to the content, watching the video, using all of the documents that I created that go along with the course. I want you in it to win it. And if you do that stuff, there's no doubt in my mind that you'll save probably over the years, save 100-fold. I know one person that watched it said, hey, that just saved me $15,000. And that was on a construction quote that they were going to move forward with. And they just said, yeah, based on what I just saw here, not going to do it. This is the kind of help that I want it to be for you guys. Angel R, course members should interact in the chat more. Yeah, there's value to be added there. Yeah, absolutely. So we have a group chat function where people can literally just post chat. And I know Angel's been in there a lot. Redion's been in there a lot. There's been probably 30% of our students are in there, but it should be 100% because it's have that conversation, iron sharpening iron, all of us getting better together. Dion, your turn.
There are a lot of good questions.
Yes.
I wish YouTube was better with notifications because a lot of people kind of show up late.
I know.
So like when Dividend Dave shows up, we're going to have to do that, the last couple hour recap.
Looks like Frank Contreras actually asked a question, and he had done that super chat earlier.
All right, let's get him.
I think this is where the question starts. He goes, I have a triplex in, I think MO is Missouri.
It is.
Missouri? Okay, yeah. It's not Montana. I know that. I have a triplex in Missouri, separate garage not being used. Opportunity to remodel that garage into a studio, cost approximately $40,000, will rent for $650. Would use my cash for the work, so he'd pay for it out of pocket. How would I figure out if the ROI is good? I think even though it would be new, I'd keep aside 25%. He'd set aside 25% for property manager vacancies and maintenance, should give him about $330 in positive cash flow monthly. So if I was doing the math on that, if I had to do 330 times 12,
You're crushing it with that return. You're crushing it.
Yeah,
right.
10%.
Yeah, that seems pretty good to me, bro.
That return is things that stories are made of. Like, that is an unbelievable return. $650 a month, you're $7,200 basically. Sorry, more than that. You are $7,800 a year on a $40,000 investment. That is awesome. And it's, if you know it's 40 grand and it's all right there in local and it's on an existing property you already have, that is likely your best use of capital, because you will pay 40, that will be fixed. But if you're all cash, you're not even levering the debt with debt yet. You can then lever it with debt. Even if you get 65 or 70% debt on that deal, then your returns are going to be like 50% on your capital. Your returns will go crazy if you just lever it with a little bit of debt. You can do it with cash up front. Don't disagree, but that is an absolute grand slam. I'm looking at doing that on 2 of my units.
Plus, if you put 40,000 into turning this garage into a unit, you probably added way more than 40,000 to the value of that property. So you forced some appreciation and you created all this extra cash flow, and that cash flow ends up coming to about a 10% return. If I did the math right. So, I mean, yeah, could you maybe put that 40,000 into something else? Maybe, but I think this is probably still a pretty good deal for you.
There's this really important question from nobody. Matt, give us a retirement update.
It's good. So not retired yet. Sorry. Not retired yet. But we, big thing for us was Eliana's scans. And so for those of you who don't know, I had a daughter who, was diagnosed with cancer, back in 2021, the end of 21. She was 5 months old. She was given an 8% chance to live 4 months, and she is now, 22 months old. So we got our miracle. She's made it this far. Her scans were clean. She is a big fan of Millennial Mike's. She did a butt jig for him every night when he came and visited.
Both your daughters were a fan of my son.
That's true.
James was out here just like wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, that's true. They had a good time. So the big thing was just trying to get through what insurance would look like and what life would look like. And so thankfully, yeah, we're super blessed. Her scans came back good. And so now we are looking at, I've spoken with insurance, and that's the biggest hurdle. We've got the LLC in place, so I can actually buy the insurance. So I don't have an exact time frame, but I've never been this close. We're paperwork away essentially from being able to finish. And so, yeah, thank you for asking. And yeah, we're very close. But as you guys can imagine, having my family and a daughter that went through that, our first and foremost concern is making sure that we have the health care that we need to take care of her. She got sick again, and her health care, to give you an idea, was very expensive. It was a couple $1 million. So I do not want to have to write a couple $1 million check. And if that means just staying on board my job a little while longer, that's okay. But the good news is we've got the assets to pay for that. We have the assets to cover those expenses. So we are blessed. We got our miracle. But thank you very much for asking. Yeah, retirement is soon. Dion and Mike were able to spend some time with me out in Vegas. Dion was able to show me all the cool stuff you can do when you're retired, like naps.
Yeah, nothing.
Not personally.
There's another follow-up question from nobody.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Okay.
Not how much time you're working, because I know in your role
Yeah.
right now, your job is to make sure the work is done, not commit a certain amount of time. But how many hours are you going to free up when you no longer have your W-2?
Probably, I mean, to build my career, I spent 80 hours a week. To currently maintain my career, it's 40. It's 40, it's 42. We keep it really disciplined.
So what are you gonna do with those 40?
Oh my word. Sleep a little bit more, do more YouTube stuff, hang out with my retired friends like Dion, when it's not Siberia and he's not vacationing in Thailand or Italy or taking a cruise. Have Mike come out more. I just spend time hanging out with friends, you know? But yeah, and my family, my kids. I love my kids. I'm an involved dad. My job is unique. It's an executive job, but I wake up every morning. I'm here. I don't travel anymore. So I'm here. I'm in my house with my kids. I work from home. I don't go to an office. So I get to be a really engaged dad, and that's why we waited long to have kids. And now I'm excited that we've got them and just spend more time with them. So yeah, thanks for everybody's well wishes and prayers. We definitely got a miracle for sure.
Did we read the Jason Ray super chat question yet?
We did. I did. I answered.
we?
Well, yeah. So that was all about the heating, I believe, right?
Yeah, is what happened in the cold weather. I didn't know if that came
Yeah.
from his question. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I
just
did. Yeah.
checking on my
And
boy Jason.
No, all good. Yeah. And Jason, if I didn't answer it all the way, let me know. But yeah, you have to have a strategy for that stuff. That's what we talk about in the course, is really making sure that you understand what you're doing when it comes to being able to prepare for those events. So here's what was really funny. We have 16 space heaters. They were all deployed that night. They were all deployed. And we actually learned we actually need probably 5 more. So we'll have 25 of them, but we'll deploy them when we need to. And that one-time investment, you can buy them on Facebook Marketplace. So we buy 60, 70, $80 units. We buy them for 20 to 25 bucks on Facebook Marketplace. They work fine. We only needed them to work one night or 2 nights. So we were able to deploy those in the field, and everywhere we deployed those, we didn't have an issue. Big saving.
I always overshare too much. All Nighter Hider says one of the
Yeah.
best rewards in life is being a dad.
True.
I should probably stop telling my kids that they are living, breathing proof that I never developed time travel.
Well, Dion, sweet Lord.
I told you it was an overshare. I prefaced it.
It is. And Wandering
Not
Doc.
all of us want to have kids. We have love kids once they're there, but
Yes.
we didn't want them.
Wandering Doc, great to hear, Matt. I remember the very first of your live streams I attended. You told me a story of your daughter. It really touched me. I appreciate that, Wandering Doc. I know you're a healthcare guy. I know you work in healthcare, and without guys like you doing what you do on a daily basis, we had scans very often. It was her days that she has once every 3 months. Sorry, it's tough to talk about sometimes, but the scans that we have every 3 months, they are really hard on the medical staff too. She has bone scans and CT scans and MRIs because her cancer is very rare. And so we have anesthesiologists, we have unbelievable rad techs. And so we were amazingly blessed to work with the probably team of more than 50 people that were a part of her journey for a long time. So I'm grateful to guys like you who care about your craft and are amazing at your craft and recognize that it's not just a job for you, it's a calling. And so I really appreciate you guys and how good you are. And yeah, the staff was amazing. Why is Dion not a mod? Is it because he's too lazy to do more tasks on the line?
Probably.
Wandering Doc, I hope to have my kids when I'm 40 to 45, still have a ton of energy since I've deliberately kept myself very fit. So I am not very fit, but I did have my kids between 40 and 45. I pick things up and I put them down. I lift heavy things really well. I'm not a runner. We left that to Mike.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to answer?
I was looking for questions right now. I was scrolling way
So
up.
Chris Ledbetter, I'm doing something similar now, 4K to add a bedroom to a unit. That will increase the rent. By my math, will be a 30% return on investment. Chris, that's exactly it. We always want to be looking at how we can add bedrooms. We always want to be looking at how we can add units and then run the math. But what you'll likely find is in this market, your best use of capital, the buck method, what you'll likely find is your greatest return is on doing things like that. That ADU guy, I know that we've all talked to him and, you know, he's Just an unbelievable guy. His projects are phenomenal. I knew he was a spirit animal of mine when he was on a backhoe, just ripping up dirt because he rented it on his own. I am all about that. I love that guy. He is awesome. He is well worth the watch. Beyond Mike.
So I'm going through these questions over
Yeah, I was
here.
looking at Dung Tai talking.
Dung Tai, he talked to Convoy Mortgage 2 months ago about refinancing 6-unit building. And he said they will base the value on the comps in the area instead of the income of the building. Interesting.
It's actually kind of common for that when you're looking at a DSCR loan, they're not going to even trust your leases, let alone what they can recognize as comps in the area. There was actually a change recently with some lenders here when they were looking at short-term rentals. For a few years, if you were purchasing for short-term rentals, it had to qualify for the loan, if it was a DSCR loan, at that 1.1 ratio as a long-term rental, which is almost impossible to do. And over the last year, a friend that lives close here that actually owns a rental here in Bonnie Lake, a short-term rental, was saying that they were going to be basing lending options on the average of short-term rentals in the area.
Interesting. Huh. That's cool. Keith Hager, during the Depression, how were landlords handling past due rent? Is that a question about the Great Recession in 08, or is that the question about the actual depression in the 30s?
Well, in 08, rents went up. There were more renters, more demand. The recession impacted homeowners who had bad debt. It didn't impact renters. It actually increased demand on rentals. And so if you look at a chart, it'll look like in 2009, rents went down, but it's based on the same metric that Matt is using for his prediction for what's going to happen to home prices in 2023. High-end Class A rentals dipped because it's luxury. Luxury is impacted, which brings the median down. Yeah. Even though Class B and C rents went up, the chart makes it look like rents went down, which is what's going to happen with home prices. Luxury is going to take a dip. It's going to make it look like the median went down, even though if you're buying that starter or rental at $400,000, $500,000, you're going to pay more, even though median home prices have come down.
So you said actual depression. So there's
a big difference between the Depression and the recession of 2008. And during the Depression, 30-year fixed rate debt wasn't the thing.
Right.
You bought places cash. There weren't mortgages in the United States as much during the Depression. So you had owners where their only problem was paying property taxes and on the rents. So yeah, it wasn't good, but it wasn't like it would be now.
Right.
There was still seller financing. In fact, that's how a lot of real estate used to be done before the banks kind of came in and interjected themselves and got in the way and decided that they wanted to make a whole bunch of money. Seller financing used to be a much more normal way to buy land from other people. So unfortunately, it's a lost art now. And most people think it's some sort of scam. And in reality, the banks are the scam. They're trying to make all the money. Go person to person. The real estate agents moved in and were like, we won't allow owners to talk to each other and come to terms. And the banks were like, and we're not going to let you pay each other. So pay us and use us, and we're going to collect our fees. That's my conspiracy.
Yeah. R6, I purchased a duplex towards the end of the pandemic. Cool. One tenant stopped paying and owed the landlord over $10,000. Yep. Got them out, but I got this off-market deal because they were tired of dealing with it. 100%. This is that transition that happens, is that, I talked to one of my best lead sources was talking to property managers where they said, hey, do you just have some PMs or do you just have some clients that are just exhausted? I'll let you, I'll give you, we'll figure something out, but we've got, if you have people that are exhausted, they want to have an option. And so maybe you do as an off market because the PM, some of the property managers that I work with, they have their licenses too. But yeah, we saw evidence of that where people had an eviction and they couldn't get it done, or they didn't want to do it, or they didn't know how, or they couldn't afford an attorney because they weren't paying. And that's where you can come in and you can buy up a bad situation for a reduced price. That's gets them out of the bad situation and means I'm going to have to spend some money, but the return on that investment, i.e. the investment on evicting somebody that's bad and purposely doing the wrong thing. We had some of those. They couldn't outlast us. They weren't going to outlast us. And so we could pay all the money, pay all the fees, pay all the stuff that needed to be done with the attorney because they wanted to be nasty about it. And they still lost. And they ended up in a much worse position because now they have an eviction on the record and they lost, and they will have a very difficult time renting. In fact, I know factually 4 months later, I know that they're living with their aunt and there's no prospect in sight because they've got an eviction on their record. And I was happy to do that for them after how they treated me in the situation.
Two things. First, I'm going to say what Chester Williams is saying.
Yes.
I'm going to use my own words though. Not my words. I plagiarized words. It is easier to get 1,000 camels through the eye of a needle than to get a moneylender into the gates of heaven. Chester, that's what you're saying,
I
right?
like that.
The second thing, Rob, R6 on the duplex. There are a lot of landlords that are tired, and one of the things that I think our content is really important for, and that hopefully there are more owners watching it, is because when the pandemic started, people were told you don't have to pay your rent. Forbearance was an option, so owners could go into forbearance. And coming off of forbearance, lenders were required to offer you lending options like 40-year fixed rate debt, put your missed payments on the end, not charge you all at once. $46 billion were set aside in the CARES Act, and only $3 billion was tapped in the first 12 months because initially when it came out, the tenant had to request it and prove financial impact from the pandemic. The second change to the CARES Act happened about 5 months later, and they actually said, landlords can request it. So that person who was tired, had 10 months not paying that you got out, there was rent relief money available, but the owner probably heard the CARES Act came out. My tenant's combative, they're not going to ask for it, and just gave up and probably didn't consume content where people were saying, hey, there's been a change. You're the owner, now you can go get that money. So good job paying attention and finding a problem that you could solve for someone else.
Yes. That's why there's a stack of cash for people that can do that. You're solving a problem, and that's one of the things that, again, money follows that. Money follows your ability to solve problems. Mike, your battery's flashing, just so you know.
Oh yeah, I'll swap that out.
So while you swap that out, Dung Tai, Matt, when is the boot camp? I am currently on module 9. Can't wait to get more involved. I am terrible holding investor at the moment. Haha. No worries. No worries. That's what the course is there for. So we sent out everybody that's in the course. We sent out an email to you in the course, asking you what to pick one of 3 times, the best time for you, because we need to pick a time for when the boot camp start. If everyone picks a time, then we can start next week. We just need you guys to pick a time. Just that simple. Because it's one of those 3 times we have to pick majority rules. But we will record those sessions to make sure that if you ever need to miss one, that you'll be able to go back and participate. The Yoder, which course to take first and why? Or I have 8 units. I do everything myself, including all the repairs.
Take it.
You take that question.
I'll take that. So it's not a pitch of your course, right? If you answer, you're either being altruistic and saying, of course, take Mike's course, or you're saying yours.
Sure.
It depends on your goal, Yoder. Are you looking to grow and scale and find more properties? Mike's strategy is more lined up with that. If you're looking to improve your processes, make your life easier, make you more likely to want to add units without increasing your workload, then Matt's. So both are valid, both work.
Yes.
So the answer is both, but it's what's your immediate goal? Are you trying to go from 8 to 12, or are you trying to go from 8 that takes a lot less time to manage? You increase your ROI, you improve your strategy, your processes. So that's how I would look at that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think once you've bought, you know how to buy usually. And then the key is that if you're getting into a different asset, it's usually applying the same math. The real question comes into, again, management day to day. And I want to get more out of my units. I want to get more money. I want to get them rented faster. I want to get them rented with better quality tenants. I want to manage the property in a cleaner, clearer, easier way. And I don't want to get ripped off by a property manager who's going to take more than half my money net. You can get away with, I think, hey, Dion, you tell me if this is a Dionism. You can make twice as much money with the same amount of units if you just fire your property manager.
That is today's short.
You will. There you go. You can.
Or
There
the
you go.
other way you can say it is you can retire twice as fast if you don't have a property manager.
And so many people always say managing your properties takes so much time. And I'm like, you're right. If you don't have systems and processes in place, it's going to be another job.
Yes.
But if you learn those systems, put them in place, 2 hours a month is how much it probably takes to manage your property manager. Check that rents are done, review things. I think I've had 1 month in the last year where I spent about 4 or 5 hours that month. And I had 2 big issues that month. Most months is 30 minutes for 16 units. So I could add a property manager. I might someday actually have one. I don't look forward to it because I'll be giving up somewhere between 30 and 50% of my profit.
Yep.
To do that.
I'm going to answer Wandering Doc right here. So two questions he asked me. He said, number one, he asked if I could recommend a good laptop for editing. Truthfully, I am not a super tech expert when it comes to that. My brother, Christian, his job in the military, he's been in the military for 12 years. His literal job is, okay, we're going to drop you in a desert, give us internet in 24 hours. That's his job, to build up everything. He's just good with tech. So I asked him. So Wandering Doc, if you follow me on Instagram, Millennial Mike, send me a message. I'll ask him what he would recommend as a good starter laptop, and I'll send you the links because I don't want to talk about something I'm not proficient in. That's what I did. I was like, hey, buddy, which laptop should I get? He was like, this one. So that's what I did. Your second question, Wandering Doc, was I can't find a good property manager. I've had many of them. Yeah, so if you could insource the property management with Matt's course, fantastic. That's the best thing you could do. You make more money. It's fantastic. If you're not going to do that because maybe you manage at a distance like I do, tomorrow I'm doing a live stream Saturday at 2 p.m. with Financial Firefighter and my mentor, Maskey. All three of us manage at a distance. Mark's in Hawaii, the other Mark's in Florida. I'm in Seattle. We invest in Pennsylvania and Indiana. And we're going to talk about finding property managers, managing your property managers. And I'm going to talk about one strategy I shared last night at our local meetup about how you can get these property managers to give you the service that you want. And so we're going to talk about all of that tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific time on the live stream.
Angel R comments, my biggest challenge right now is having to do renovations myself. I keep getting ripped off by contractors and their work quality is not up to my standards. So we were talking about this last night too. If you just find a contractor, how are you finding it? Is it a Google search? Are you just finding somebody because they paid money for geofencing and Google AdWords? I've had really good luck with the Thumbtack app because the contractors are a little more tech savvy and they know that at the end of the project, you get to leave a review and that their reputation is based on those reviews. So if you're using that and you have bad luck, talk to local real estate investors to find out who they're using. But my experience has been really good on the Thumbtack app.
Yep. Yeah, the key to the Thumbtack app, I totally agree. I think the key is when you put yourself in your job, just your normal everyday job, the one that you do and you show up for every single day at work, when you're having a conversation with somebody in your company or external to your company, and you can have that conversation and speak fluently in the language by which you can communicate your thoughts, what your product does, what the company does, you are going to likely not be taken advantage of, and you are going to likely be in a better position to get your need met. One of the big things that's part of the course on the construction side is teaching you guys how to speak contractor. One of the things that's going to be coming in the course is going to be specialists coming in every 4 weeks or so that you guys can ask their questions. They're not there to sell you anything. You can literally say, hey, when I see this on a roof, when I see that on a roof, that is something that we want to make sure is there, because I get it. I got ripped off by contractors in the very beginning too. The challenge was getting good contractors. Now Thumbtack, that product exists, which is great, but you get that much more credibility when you can have that vocabulary and be able to transact with that vocabulary. When we start talking to a roofer and we talk about, yeah, so we're going to do the 2 layers of ice and water. I want a cap on the top. I want to make sure you re-let around the chimney. I want a new drip heads on the edge. And, and I want to make sure that we're getting 30-year arcs on there. That 30 seconds, I got credibility with the roofer and he knows I am not going to be punked. He knows that I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at every single thing he does. Oh yeah, PS, I want to see felt paper underneath there as well. And I also just want to see the invoice from the lumberyard when you actually pick up my shingles. these are the things that when you can have that conversation with any tradesman, you put yourself in the driver's seat because they know that you know at least enough to know what they're doing, how it needs to be done, that it needs to be done right, and they're not going to get paid if it's not. Just my 2 cents.
Agreed.
Having that knowledge helps a lot. The more specific you can be, it's kind of like when you go out and talk to an agent. And I heard this at Cody and Christian's event. If you go to an agent and you say, look, I want to buy a cash flowing rental, they can't help you. But if you say, I'm looking specifically for small multifamily in this footprint, I'm going to use the yield calculation, but I like side by side, I like garages, I want at least 2 bedrooms, and you just give a little more detail, that agent's going to be able to work with you. Contractors are the same.
Keith Hager, the education of the course will put you miles ahead on your journey. Don't learn correct operation by your own mistakes. It takes years and years on your own to build. That's true. That's what the first 10 years I made mistakes all the time, and they were very expensive. And now I'm just looking to get paid back for all those mistakes that I made. R6, good tips. I learned that lesson the hard way. Yeah, I totally get it. David Yang, you can call local property management companies and see which vendors they use. Some are good, some are bad. You have to test them out. Yep, some charge too much for what they offer. Totally agree. Totally agree. The best way that I have found to find great contractors is I give them I get recommendations. I also ask to see a job that they've done. I go and I take a look at that job. And then we say, okay, I'm just so you know, I'm looking for a contractor that can do this for me consistently. I'm going to give you one job and we'll see how you do. And then I'll give you another job and I will see how you do. And so if it's good, then it makes sense to keep them around. They stick around. And best of all, I get good quality product. So I've gotten guys that have gotten lazy. They were good in the beginning and then they started to suck. And when they did, I just said, listen, make the repairs. And they made the repairs and they said, all right, we're ready for the next job. No, you left it like that. If I didn't say make the repairs, you would have left it like that. And so then that was the last time we used them. And that's just the way that it goes. So I would encourage you guys, learn how to speak fluent contractor, have that vocabulary, and you will find yourself eons past where you are today. There's no doubt in my mind. Mike, when you have your conversation with your property manager and stuff, I mean, you're having to walk through and have those conversations.
Yeah. So the way that it works, if I do a repair with my property manager, if there's something that comes up that's a small repair, they're going to let me know about it. They're going to, most of the time, if it's like a couple $100 thing, I just authorize it immediately because I don't really need to go get multiple bids on replacing a medicine cabinet in a bathroom. But when I've done things like swap a roof out or I've done full blown remodels and they tell me this is what it's going to cost, I call other people and I get comparative bids. I think, okay, where's the bid from the guy that you used? Okay, perfect. Send me the PDF. Wonderful. Then I send that out to a couple other companies. What do you think? You think you can beat it? You think you can do better than this? A couple of times someone said they think they can do better. They give me a bid back. I give it to my property manager. She sends it back to the original guy who now miraculously has found the ability to bring his price down to be more competitive. It's amazing how that works.
Wonders never cease.
Right. Yeah. So on a large ticket item, you get up as soon as you probably get up to about $1,000, I would be trying to get multiple competitive bids. I've had a roof over a garage get bidded out at $9,000 and I got it for $5,200 because, the problem is fixed. I've had plumbing jobs that could have been a $4,000 that got done for $700. And so, I would get multiple bids.
Yeah. I think the other component of that too is that you also want to make sure you're comparing product to product. Because you put them down selecting, because they can say, yeah, I can do it for this price. I'm not going to use a 30-year arc shingle, 30-year architectural. I'm going to use a triple tab. Well, triple tabs are kind of junky and they might be 20, 25-year life expectancy, or even worse, they might say, hey, yeah, so technically it should be a rubber roof because based on the rake of the roof, which means the degree by which it slants, they might say, hey, yeah, we're going to do rolled roofing. Rolled roofing sucks. Roll roofing is usually what people recommend that don't know how to do rubber, but they don't want to lose the job. When you do a rubber roof and it's done by guys who know how to install rubber roofs, guess what? It's usually 30 to 40 years. Rolled roofs, they just don't last that long, especially on low rake roofs, especially in bad climates, whether it's really extreme hot or really extreme or gets really extreme cold. They always find a way to leak at seams and it becomes very expensive. So to Mike's point, no matter where you are, whether you're managing remote or managing up front or close, you want to get multiple bids. There's no shame in that game. There's only shame if you don't play that game.
Here's the power of multiple bids. If you've been doing this for 20 years like Matt, you could probably know some of these things. You might, Matt, even come up against something someday that you haven't dealt with before and get multiple bids from somebody who's doing that specific thing. I don't know what it could be because you've done so much, but let's say it was that thing. You get 3 estimates from 3 different contractors that work in that field.
Yep.
Share their bids with them.
Yes.
They are the first one to point out this is an inferior product. This voids the warranty. That's a great price. I can't beat it. If you can show, it's just like when you compare lenders.
I was about to say that.
They're not going to say just
with lenders.
Just rates. They're going to talk. What's the buy down rate? You know, what are your closing costs going to be? They can actually compare apples to apples easier than we can. If it's something Matt's done or you've done 2 or 3 times, or you've been through the course and you have the information, you could probably go off of fewer. But I like to compare them against each other.
I'd never done a cinder block wall before until 2 years ago. I'd never done one. The back wall so there was an addition that was put on a house. The back wall was collapsing. And I was like, oh, nut balls, this is awful. And so we had to literally excavate the entire back wall of the house. But here's what we did. I'd never done it before. I got it quoted out by 3 different guys, and it was like $8,000 to $10,000. And then I was like, man, that's expensive. And then I asked the follow-up question. Sure. So I see that like $4,000 of this is an excavator. And they're like, yeah, because I'd have to excavate it out. I'm not going to hand shove it. I was like, well, yeah, of course. What if you could take that off? Because what did I do? I called a couple small local excavator companies. I got it excavated for $1,500. It's because he didn't want to have to go rent that machine or pay his buddies and then upcharge it. So what we were able to do was I got it for $1,500. And then because I said, I'm literally going to put you in a position where all you have to do is show up. We will have already put basically the temporary walls in place. So when we take out that back wall, the back end of the house doesn't collapse. I said, we will have the temporary walls in place. All you're going to have to do is come in here and lay in brick and cement it and rebar. And I got somebody down to $3,000. So it was $3,000. I was able to do the other labor for $500, and I was able to do it for $1,500 for the excavator. All in, I was $5,000 on what I had gotten 3 quotes on that were all between $8,000 and $10,000, and the work was awesome. So if you understand what the project is and take the quote that they're giving you and start to dissect it, most guys don't want to go out and do other things that aren't in their wheelhouse. They don't want to hire an excavator to dig out the back of a foundation because they don't own one. They don't have one. They have to go out and hire it out. And that's where you can then put the separate components of that. I was able to say to a carpenter, I actually did it with the carpenter. We spent a day down there building 2x6 walls to support the back half of the house. We did that in one day. It was $500 in product and material, and even if I had jobbed that out, it might've been $800 or $1,000. I was only worth a few $100 worth of work. I just wanted to see it done and do it with my own hands so I could actually had experience doing that job. Thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, obviously that was a very creative way to work around that problem, get the price knocked way down. It's not something that I would necessarily have the opportunity to do as an out-of-state investor, but that's the power of taking a course, because if you insource your own property management and you're working on all that stuff together, or if you're working on all that stuff in-house, you have the opportunity to look at these bids and come up with creative ways. I mean, like, yeah, if I lived in Gary, Indiana, I would never pay for any demo on anything that I remodel. 100% it would be me. I can roll up with an old busted Ford Ranger and load things in the back and drive it down to the dump, dude. That's what I'm good at. Demolition man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you've seen Triple Digit Flip, like Jameel and Pace, they do all the demo on their jobs.
Well, that's just because it plays well on the TV, having Pace out there with a sledgehammer busting through a wall,
I'm teasing, of course. Teasing, of course. Hi, Michelle Meyer. Good to have you here. Hi, Ninja Vanish. Good to have you here. Good to have you here, Dividend Dave. I saw you as well. Big Paws. Good to have you here. Brett Bisbower, good to have you here as well.
There's a question there from Big Paws.
Where was it? There it is. What's up, guys? Some advice in competitive market. I'm in Southern California, Inland Empire. Okay. Area to be exact, and having trouble finding deals that make sense. How would you advise sourcing solid leads? It's up to you if you want to do this or not. You don't have to do it, but this is the level that I get to. Somebody says, I don't see anything in MLS. Okay. I don't really have a good enough network where I'm not getting offered off-market deals. Okay. Every wholesale deal that gets brought to me is kind of caca. Certainly happens. We see a lot of that stuff where it's just like, so you're a failed real estate agent, now you're wholesaling. Like, that's how bad the deal is. So one of the really interesting things, Sully, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll get to you in just a second, Sully. I will get to you as soon as I finish answering the question, I promise. So one of the things that I really encourage you guys to do is there are list searches out there. When you look at the market that you're looking at, there are list companies out there. The best one in the market by far is Batch Leads. They are second to none. They have the cleanest data. All the big companies use them and get paid back to update data. When they find data is incorrect, they can actually update it. So Batch Leads is the best. When you find a certain area that you're working in, what you need to do is create your buy box. It's your criteria by which you want to be searching for homes. When you create that buy box, you then create a ideal customer profile. When you create that ideal customer profile, it is, what is the type of person that I'm targeting? I want to target people that have owned it for at least 10 years. So now I know they have a ton of equity. I want to target people in these areas, and you can actually create these lists. Once you see those lists, you can then hire Batch Leads to write out handwritten notes to send out to those people. You can do that yourself, but you can find deals. What are you willing to do to get that deal? And that is one of the best ways to do it in this market, is for you to go out there and become the hunter instead of recognizing that all the food's getting brought to the table with MLS. Any thoughts on that, guys, before we jump into?
I will, before you get to Sully's thing, I will give a quick Dion talk lesson.
Yes.
I'll try to keep it as brief as possible because that's not my thing.
Do we need to record this? Or
it's up to you. If you can throw this on as a
dang it, I can't.
No,
Matt's got host.
Don't worry about it.
I can make you host.
Yes.
Don't you want me to do
Dion,
it?
it's famous. No, we're good. We'll listen to
Okay.
it. He and I'll make a short on this later.
When somebody says, I'm trying to find deals in my market, my question is, first, what asset class are you searching for? Is it single family? Is it small multifamily? Is it a house with an EDU? Is it multifamily? Is it RV parks? Is it storage? Are you considering different asset classes in that market because somebody's investing there successfully? So if you're talking Inland Empire, California, draw a circle around the most expensive area that you're close to. And then, like Matt will talk about, make those circles bigger. And eventually, as you get out, you're going to find a place where price and rent start to hit an equilibrium. And then you said you searched on the MLS. I think I saw that you have several agents. So have several agents with auto searches set up, because searching on the MLS is nuanced. You know, in over a decade, I've had agents send me the same deal one time in 10 days, you know, in a 1 day period. The same deal came in once. They eventually, a few weeks later, will find the deals. But, you know, if you're looking to find them faster, you want several agents with that search set up. If you're looking for something like a house with an ADU, you can't control what the listing agent is going to call it. Right? It can be an ADU, JADU, DADU, accessory dwelling unit, auxiliary dwelling unit, granny flat, mother-in-law house. List all of those in your search if that's the asset class that you're looking for. And that's just finding it on the MLS, which is what I talk about because I'm the super lazy person. But there is driving for dollars, county tax records, all of the, mailers. There's a lot of creative ways to find deals, and you can find most of them on YouTube. But before you get into how you find the deals, how you find the leads, you called them, I would look at which asset class is working best in that market. Because the thing that you take away from law enforcement is an officer can't show up on the scene and say, here's what I think happened. Let me find the evidence to support it. So you've picked an asset class and now you're looking for a way to make it work. Instead, you look at the scene and you think, okay, based on the evidence, this is what I think happened. And when I see new evidence, I'm going to change my opinion. The market works the same way. You have an asset class in mind. I wanted to invest in single family. They don't cash flow. I found out multifamily, small multifamily did. So I shifted what I wanted to do. So which asset class are you focusing on? Are you expanding your search metric? And how are you doing your current MLS searches? That would be how I do it, as brief as I possibly can. Now we can go to Sully's question.
All right, Sully's question. So Aside from the quantity of rentals you have, what are 3 reasons you decided on Hemlane versus Door Loop, vice versa? I'm managing 8 rentals with a mixture of rent by the room and long-term, approximately 30 tenants. I definitely need your take on each, please. Dion, do you, because I did Hemlane too, but I want to do, but you're
So the biggest
precise.
differentiator that you found was the data for your tax returns is a lot more in-depth on the door loop that you're using. Here's one of my reasons for Hemlane is it's flexible. Literally every month I can change it to this month. I just want my tenants to have a portal where they can pay the rent and report issues. This month, I want to be able to use Hemlane's nationwide access to Handyman. This month, I need a leasing agent to go show a unit, get a new lease. Then I get comments like this from people on Hemlane. I won't read their name, but it's, I set up my property on Hemlane and I'm screening applicants now. It's been great. And the rep that called to work with me was really helpful. That's been my experience with Hemlane. On apartments.com, I got a phone call I had to make to confirm that it was me and I actually owned the property. Couldn't get anybody else to talk to me. With Hemlane, it's really simple. Their reps speak clearly. That's the softest way to say that. They actually understand them. They're not in the call center hiding somewhere. These are people that work on the product. And the flexibility is everything for me. The price is good. It's $28. Last time I checked, and so check this year in case anything's changed. But it was $28 to set it up, and then $2 a unit. So as you grow your unit, it's not like a big expense to add more. And then when you scale to using the 3rd tier and you want those leasing agents, you can do it for that month and then turn that off and not use that again until the next time you need it. That's been my experience.
So I will tell you my experience. So I used it for 6 months. Here's what I will tell you of why we chose what we chose. Give me just 1 second here. I need to respond back to this email. There you go.
The one thing solely while Matt's handling that, if you use either platform, is I wouldn't burden tenants with a big change unless they can handle it. So if you're self-managing, you've probably interacted. I have a tenant in her 70s who writes me 6 months worth of checks, has a flip phone, has never been on the interwebs, and I'm not going to force her to get an app, learn a program, either one. So as I've added units or had tenant turnovers, the new tenants will be on the platform, whichever one you choose. So I wouldn't just run out and go blanket, hey, every single tenant, you have to do this thing, because that would create a nightmare month for you and them, because you have to educate them on how this works. Right. So I would kind of slowly transition to that to make it easier over time.
Yes. So here's what I will tell you on Door Loop. The reason we bought them, we looked at Hemlane, we looked at Appfolio, we looked at Buildium. We looked at Rent Ready, and we looked at one other one where I literally looked at Mrs. Lumberjack and said, why the hell are we looking at this one? And she's like, it came up in one of the searches. And I was like, no, we're not looking at that one. And so they were disqualified quickly. But what I can tell you about Door Loop was it gave us the ability to give portal access to our tenants, where they could actually log a case or an issue on my phone. I can assign that to someone, to a contractor, to have that work done. It allowed for ACH payment, which means that basically the tenant could just set up for it to be taken out of the account every single month. It allowed us to have a centralized place that automatically deposited that money into our account, making that very, very easy. It was the mobile app that they have that gave people the ability to not only create tickets on their phone, but also update anything. The biggest thing back office wise was the financials. It blew the doors off of everything else but Appfolio. These guys were truly in a class of their own with Appfolio when it came to financials and reporting. And that was a big key. The other thing too is that for us, we do almost all of our leases through DocuSign. And so I never imagine needing a leasing agent to go meet somebody. I don't need that ever, because we can actually have maintenance change the code to their 4-digit code lock to get in. And all the lease stuff is done through the actual lease itself. And when showings go, we actually, we pay by the hour for an agent to basically show our units. And so that was why, for me, building my network and the way that I leverage my network, it just drastically reduced our cost but they had all the functionality from a financials perspective that I really need to be able to, at the press of a button, I can see everybody who's paid rent, who hasn't paid rent, how many days late they are. I can also see at the press of a button, the financials for every single property that I have, profit and loss. And then I can see the entire portfolio as well. So I really I treat mine as a business. And so I needed to have all of that data at my fingertips because I couldn't manage that we grew past the point of spreadsheet. So being able to have what we call customer relationship management, CRM, or enterprise relationship management, ERM, where we could actually have all of that in one place. It allowed us to manage a whole lot easier. It also allows us for growth. So that growth capability that we have with that product is that they really can go all the way up to 500 tenants if you're that big, or they can be, 25 to 50 as well. But that's why we chose that product. We actually really like that. And we're not sponsored by Doorloop. I want to throw that out there. I got to do a video on them because I use their product. Ashley loves it. We've only had one issue, and that was in the field. We request that even though we get a credit card and it shows up on our company card, we still like a picture of the receipt so we know it went in there. The only thing that we see is that there is a lag time when you take a picture of it and then try and upload it to the cloud. That's the only complaint that we've gotten from our guys that use that.
So the only reason, Matt, I might suggest becoming an affiliate with Doorloop is you can get a discount for your viewers.
Yes, 100%.
On the initial setup. So,
Yep.
So with the size of your channel, with the influence that you have, with having a course, you might want to reach out to them and just say, hey, I'm going to send a bunch of people to you. Can you hook them up?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think, R6, what code locks do you use? Mike, I sent you two. I don't remember which ones I sent
Oh,
you.
fudge. I forget what the name of them were.
Matt will comment after this live stream in the comments below with a link to his locks that he uses. So
Dion
you can
has
check
his
them
too.
out after the video.
So Dion uses really nice schlag.
Just put some in last weekend.
Still using those, right? Yeah. So he uses a really nice schlag one. Here's what I would tell you. The one that Dion uses is very nice. The one that we talked about in our video, which is a quick set digital keypad, they were great for about 5 or 6 years. The last batch that we got, and I just am interested in full disclosure, the last batch that we got, I think we bought a case of them of 20. I think 2 of them, maybe even 3 of them were bad, and we had to return them. We got a return on them, but I don't know if that was just a bad batch. I don't know if that's something that's changed since the manufacturing of them. I don't know, but I always want to give full disclosure there because literally there's no amount of money in the world that would have me, misguide people on what product, but Dion's are good. And then the ones, Mike, the ones I sent you, those have been good, right?
Yeah, if you put the link to those down there, they were great. I think you said they were like $50 locks or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's just the deadbolt portion.
Mhm.
So if you have a handle that has a lock on it and you need to either swap that handle out or recognize you shouldn't lock the handle anymore. But They were really easy to install. They worked really well. They went up pretty seamlessly. So I like them.
On that note, I always recommend replacing the handle with something that doesn't lock, because one of the points of the coded locks is no tenant lockouts.
Right.
Yes.
And to be clear, just like you, so I've been using them for 13 years. It's what I keep in the places that I stay at.
Yeah.
I have had one of them not work and had to go swap it back. So it's not like they're all 100% guaranteed to work, but it didn't work on install. So it's not like it failed at the 6-month point or something. It's like I put it in, it just didn't work.
Yeah, that's what we had. That's what we had too. Those 2 that failed, they out of the box, there was just something screwed up with them. I don't know what the deal was, but yeah.
And so what I'll do is I'll ping Amazon every 2-3 weeks, every couple of months, and I'll just say, look at those locks, because mine are like $109, but every now and then they're $80.
Yes.
Then I'll buy 4. Let's go, because those are stored until time.
So the ones that I sent you, Mike, I want to say that those are key. I think those are quick sets as well. And those were the same thing. I think right around twice a year, they go on sale for like $55 or something. And they're awesome.
Yeah, they were good.
Big pause. Matt, got some money to deploy. Is there a way we can link up? You can so you can send me something on Instagram, but I don't take any outside money. I'm wicked selfish and I suck at playing in the sandbox with others. So I don't take any outside money whatsoever. So I'm flattered, honestly, truly, I'm flattered. I just don't take any outside money.
I almost did a partnership about a month ago, but then the guy said he doesn't like me, so we stopped.
Who was that?
I was like, that wasn't me.
I thought you were saying
I was
me,
like,
right?
what the hell? I was like, I didn't
No.
say that.
No, not
Yeah.
me. No. What happened was
What happened? What happened?
So here's what happened. Here's what happened. If Dion wants to do a partnership on a deal with me, I'm all for it. 100%, I'll do it. But I'm only going to partner with him on a deal that's going to be a slam dunk. So I looked at a 5-unit building.
Yeah.
I did some due diligence on the building. It looked like there was going to be more issues permitting it to get it up to speed than what I wanted to take a partner on. So what I'd rather do is find a little more turnkey, easy, simple, and then if he wants to partner up on me, sure. But I'm not going to put my name on something unless I'm fully confident in it and have.
That's kind of thin, the skin there.
On Keith, so Keith Hager gives another endorsement to the Schlag lock. So does Angel. Guys, check those out on Dion's channel. He's got a link
You
in
can
there.
you can pin a link to your on your too. I'll send it to you. You pin it down there.
You do,
for yours.
you do your, like I said, I mean, I want to know, I've got replacements coming. I want to know if they're good before I recommend them to anybody and not waste their time.
Well, I would pin a comment, but I'm not a mod because someone else doesn't like me. This is a theme here.
Are you? I'm gonna find you in chat. I'm gonna mod you. Angel R. Matt, in your years, have you had a shark bite fail? I did in this last storm. It literally popped. It popped. So there was so much pressure in the pipe from a pipe freezing. It popped the shark bite off and it left the pecs hanging there, just flowing water all through the chase. That sucked.
So 20 years and during one of the biggest storms ever.
Yes. Yeah, it was really it was really cold. But that said, if they're going to slip off on something, they just can. They just flat out can. For me, if I'm doing plumbing work now, I spent the money, I got the Pro Press tool. We made 34 Pro Press unions in the pipes that we did over the storm, and every single one of them had no issue, not a leak. It drastically reduced our time than having to sweat something in with actually having to sweat a new valve in or sweat a new coupling in. I can honestly tell you, if you're doing your own landlord stuff, and this Pro Press tool, you can find them used on eBay. That yes, they're expensive. They're a little over $1,000, but for me, with the number of units that I have, I bought it and it literally paid for itself 6 times over in one storm. One storm paid for itself 6 times over. It was well worth it. There's Dion. Now I can mod you, you crybaby.
Ban him, dude. Don't mod this guy. I'm gonna demote it.
Ban him. I'm not gonna ban Dion. Dear heavens.
And back on the earlier topic it was Sully, I believe was her name, right? Sully. Yeah, Sully. Yeah. So my property manager uses Buildium. Buildium is hot trash. I hate Buildium. I can't stand it.
Sucks.
I don't know why they use it. I imagine it's just a symptom of they bought it a long time ago and don't want to do the work to learn something else. My other property manager uses Appfolio, which is way better. So I guess my final question to Max, I don't know if he delineated between the two. What was because you spoke very highly of Appfolio. Was it just more expensive, or why'd you choose between those two?
Yeah, so Appfolio I liked. They had the big deal with Appfolio was they were more expensive every single month. The biggest issue that I had with them was because they're a public company, they are aggressive on their price increases. Number 2. And number 3 is the thing that I liked about them the absolute least was the migration of the data was really on our shoulders and very expensive. To get all of our data out of, to get the data out of our legacy stuff, which was just based mostly spreadsheets and a little bit of another system. It was going to be like $600 or $800 to migrate the data. And I was like, isn't it enough that you're getting me for the next forever at a couple $100 a month? They're like, yeah, but there's a cost to that. Yeah, there's a cost to customer acquisition. That's what it's literally called. Like, don't talk tech to me in customer acquisition. I will bury you. I understand. So for those of you who don't know, that's my day job has been for 25 years. So I'm all about customer acquisition, the things that you do to get customers, to help them and aid them in getting onto your product. It's why they give you great deals on cell phones. It's because they want you on their network where they can charge you, because that's where they make their money. It's not on cell phone units. They make their money on users. That's why that's a rate of churn that they look at. So
it helps to understand the benefits to customer acquisition, just like customer retention. So if you have a cell phone plan and you want to get a discount, call your cell phone company and say you want to cancel your service. You will almost immediately be transferred to a retention specialist that has access to way more deals and opportunities than somebody you're going to find at the counter or on just your regular call.
Truer words have never been spoken. That is very true. So I think that, as you look at things with the kind of weather that we have here in the Northeast, is that you always want to build out to be prepared, recognize that you don't want to end up having to fix the same problem twice. That's one of the things that absolutely kills me with landlords is I talk to some tenants and they're just like, yeah, like he's tried to fix this thing 3 times. Like I literally saw somebody fix a roof by basically disguising a brown tarp, like they were re-roofed it. And I was just like, that is so trash. And so they were like, yeah, every time it heavy rains, it rains in here. I go, yeah, we're going to take care of that for you. Don't worry about that. So he fixed it, but you guys, the cheap can become expensive. So when you go to fix a problem, fix it right, do it the right way. Yes, it will be more expensive than doing it the wrong way, but you likely won't ever have to go back. And that's a big thing. Mad76, thanks for the great explanation on all questions as always. Happy to do it. Did you guys come across any others that you wanted to address?
No, but I got a good topic that we could probably wrap it up on. A topic that I'm going to make an individual video for. So,
okay.
Mike buying office chairs.
Dude, my chair is comfortable.
I'm good.
Listen to this. Thick, thin skin. Dion's over here complaining
And whining.
Come on.
I don't have.
We've done worse. We've been
Caterer can't sit for 3 hours.
We've been in an Airbnb together, propped up on some weird hard stools, trying to get the camera angles right. So, anyway, okay. So here's the video topic. One of the things that we talk about all the time when it comes to affordability of rental properties is the monthly payment, because monthly payment assists with cash flow. Now, in the comment section of some of the videos that I made recently, people have been complaining about how monthly payment is like a lie and that it's a bad idea and that what you need to focus on is price. You need to get the price down. That's why you shouldn't buy. Price is too high. Wait for the market to crash because we need price to come down. And anybody who tells you that focusing on the monthly payment is wrong. And then they further go on to talk about how car payments, how the car dealerships will sell you on a monthly payment. Hey, it's still just $200 a month, but yeah, you're paying over the next 9 years for a $75,000 Honda. And I agree with them. I think that focusing on a monthly payment for a car payment is a terrible idea. And I have my reasons for it. So I was hoping I could ask the two of you. We'll start with Matt, since Dion's running his mouth. We'll start with Matt. Matt, could you explain the difference between buying an investment property and focusing on monthly payment for affordability versus a car and why monthly payment is kind of a misnomer and a bad representation of the value of the car?
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you're going to own a house a lot longer than you're going to own a car. And I think that the other thing that I'm looking at on a car is that's purely an expense side of things. And a house is going to be not an expense side of things. I get tax deductions on the house. I don't get tax deduction on the car. Those are the things that kind of come immediately to mind. And I can buy a car for a couple $1,000. You've seen them, or the $1,000 special, with no heat.
Yeah.
And so, you can buy a car like that you can run for years. Not a problem. You guys, you and I are both big hoopty endorsers. And you don't need that car payment, and that car payment then just is that much more money that you're able to save towards getting an appreciable asset as opposed to a car that's a depreciating asset. But real quick on the truck, I went to Ashley was gone last week for the morning. And so it was my job to take the kids to school. We all jumped in the truck and the heat didn't work. So I had to use the ice scraper on the inside of the windshield. It was so cold. I just used the ice scraper on the inside of the windshield. We're in the car and Sammy just goes, "Daddy." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm cold." And I go, if it weren't 4 o'clock in the morning on Mike's day off, we'd call Mr. Mike and we let him know. But that's how bad it was. And so the crazy thing was, I was like, I'm going to get pulled over by a cop because because the defroster wasn't working either. So I had to literally douse the outside of the windshield with the de-icer. And then on the inside, I just spray it on the inside as well. and scrape it with the ice scraper just so I could see out the road. And then I had to run with my window down a little bit so I didn't fog it back up.
Yep.
It was a debacle.
Growing up so poor in North Dakota, we would have the converter from the cigarette lighter to an outlet, and you'd plug in a hair dryer or a blow dryer to manually defrost from the inside. So my mom would be driving and I'd be sitting there with a hair dryer and a scraper doing the same thing on the inside. Dude, we were so poor.
That was more of a moment for me. Sam was just kind of looking at me, my son just kind of like looking at me, and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. He's like, Daddy, your heat doesn't work. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Dion, I want to hear your answer. Explain to us why a car payment, because the dealer will try to sell you all the time. Like, hey, look, your car payment's still $200 a month. Private first class, who's going to sign his entire life away for this Dodge Charger. Explain to us the difference.
So the problem when it comes to payments and the mentality of looking at payments is not understanding what currency is. Why does gold have value? It takes so long to dig it up and to find it that it's rare, it's scarce, it has value. So we assign a monetary value to it. Then we come up with the fiat currency. So people think money has value and you get paid a certain amount of money for every hour that you work. It sucks to earn money. It sucks to earn money to put it to work in investments to get the cash flow, like all of this work to get this money. So what we do as a society is make it easier to spend money. Not only do we go, you don't have to carry cash around, that's kind of inconvenient. Here's a card that will connect right to your bank. So you have a debit card. And then they go, actually, let's put some protections in place and let you spend more money than you have. So here's a credit card. Now you can borrow money from your future self. And it's very, there's a convenience for you because it's so convenient for you to do this. Now let's go buy a product. And they say, in the dinosaur days, we had this thing called layaway. You go to Kmart, which died, I think, right, in most places. And you say, I'm going to buy this product. You're going to hold it. I'm going to pay you until it's paid off. Then I'm going to come get it because it's easier to make the payments. So buying this thing I can't afford because I have to make the payments. So you do that. They fold because you can't store products for layaway. So now we go buy now, pay later. We've made it easier to buy things. So if you go to buy a car and you take away the pain of having to have the money, and we say, we're going to take this 5-year, it doesn't work. Let's give you a 7-year loan because it keeps the payment lower. It's easier for you to, we're going to do zero interest. We're going to do zero interest on this. I mean, we're going to charge an unboxing fee. We're going to charge a shipping fee. We're going to do all these things because they're going to make their money, right? And then we're going to go, but you owe us a bunch of money. So you have to get premium insurance, full replacement value. So your car payment is only this, but now let's ignore the insurance payment. It's going to be so much more. But it's easier to do that. Instead of, it is hard to have the discipline to save money for a few months, year, maybe 2, to buy that 5 to 10-year-old car that you keep for several years. And eventually, Matt, when you unbreak yourself, you buy the newer car that actually has heat that works, or you pay for have the system repaired. But it's easier to just have payments. That's the problem with the car payment. There's actually a thing right now that's really big in Vegas where if you take Uber or Lyft, a lot of the drivers are going to be in a Tesla. And you would think, wow, a lot of people bought a Tesla to do this. No, they're renting the Teslas to use as Uber or Lyft.
Smart.
Right. It's smart because you're leasing something that you're going to say, what's my ROI on what I'm putting in, the time that I'm going to put in, is my payment worth it? You're looking at it as a business transaction. It's kind of like the idea of somebody going, well, a house is a better investment than a car. It's a Schrodinger's investment. Until you open the box, you don't know if that's an asset or a liability. You're paying to live there, or are you renting out by the room? Are you going to actually use your equity growth, your principal pay down to sell in 1031? Like all of these things that you can do with that asset, you don't know until you look at it. When you look at buying a car, it's the same thing. We need a car. Do you need a brand new car? Does it need to be flashy? Does it need to be expensive? Is it how you attract people into your life by looking rich, instead of waiting until you are wealthy and then buying the Lamborghini or the truck where the heat works?
Bugatti.
Yes. Dion, I did have a question on the on Hemlane.
Okay.
Do you I know that you have a link on your channel where people can get it. Is there a trial version?
You can get the 30-day free trial.
Yes, that's right.
If you use my name, Dion, you get 20% off the first year. So, 30-day free trial.
Yes.
If you get discount for the next year. Right?
Yep. And that's the thing is what you want to do. So I probably should do a video on how you need to evaluate a property management software, because Door Loop is great for me, for our size, for the way that we've set up our business. Hemlane might be great for you. It didn't work for us for how we set up our business, but admittedly, it's a larger business. There's more moving parts to it. So I always want to make sure that people have the right criteria by which they're judging. And that's the big key for me. We don't do anything in like QuickBooks or anything outside of that stuff. So financials for us is huge because I'm a big financial operator. But like I said, I think that utilize Dion negotiated that for you guys. Get on his channel. If you're trying to look at property management softwares, use Hemlane, put a couple properties in there for 30 days, see how it goes. Maybe it's awesome for you. Maybe it's horrible for you.
I just did a video with Dana, the CEO of Hemlane. That's 2 videos this week. I haven't edited or released them yet, but one of them is on, because a question that came up a couple times in my live streams is, what if you're using Hemlane and then in future land, you decide to go to a property manager? So she covered what that transaction looks like. Sure. And I just like, I don't know. I looked at like 4 or 5. It was the model that kind of made sense for me. Sure. I think Sully nailed it with the question. If you take out unit count, if you have over 100 units, I haven't even looked at what the data from Hemlane is, because with 16, I'm spreadsheet, right? My CPA has my spreadsheet, which I've shared. This is the data. I would probably go up to 50 units and just be spreadsheet. But if you're going to be 100 plus, that's not going to work, right? So then at that point, I would have to look at Hemlane and evaluate what does their backend look like for data.
Financials, yeah.
Sure. Right. Financials, there you go.
Yep, I agree. R6, Lumberjack, I have a very serious question. When are we going to see a video of you pulling up in a Lambo? I had the chance to buy a Lambo. It was only 20% off though. I believe that Lambos are coming down. All of the exotic guys on those cars, kid you not, I do my research. Most of the exotic car brokers or hypercar brokers, they are saying Q3, Q4, because there's a lot of delinquencies even in those cars. There's also a lot of crypto bros that are going to have to shed them because they can't afford the lifestyle anymore. And so honestly, for me, because it's just an added expense, it's not like I'm waiting to buy my primary house. Nope. I'm waiting to buy a luxury item that I can live without. That, yes, I want one, but for me, that's really going to be about the price. It's going to be about, can I get a massive price reduction? So Dion.
Since we're doing shorts, that is not going to be a video of Matt pulling up in a Lambo. It's going to be a video of Matt getting out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, you.
Yeah, I'm going to be putting a
rolling is a move. Rolling is a move. That's all I'm going to say to you. Rolling is a move.
Roll. Oh, dude, it's a good time to quit the live stream because you're cutting out on us.
Oh, how about now?
Oh no, there you are.
There you go. You probably had something updating in the background.
Probably. In all likelihood.
Close some of those prawn tabs.
Prawn tabs. We're not on your laptop. We're on mine.
Right.
Smart guy. What does Dion do with all this extra time? Wouldn't you guys like to know?
No, they wouldn't.
Probably best to get me canceled anyway. Hey, it's Financial Firefighter. Good to see you. Nietzschean middleman. Do you guys speak German? I don't speak German.
Nietzschean middleman.
Nietzschean middleman.
Probably named after that famous psychologist, but I thought he was Russian. Maybe it is German.
Friedrich Nietzsche. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it is German. Yeah.
He is German. Yep. Just like Freud. Financial Firefighter and
That's doing that on here too.
Yeah. I can't tell.
Yeah, you're lagging on YouTube as well.
Might have to just bail. I have to just bounce and send him a text.
I guess. Am I still here?
No, we can hear you.
Off and on.
Off and on. Okay. Well, then I guess we've had too much fun then. It's just that simple. So guys, as always, thanks for coming out, hanging out with us. Check out Millennial Mike tomorrow on his live stream with 2 other remote investors. Check out Sunday, my live stream at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, and Dion's on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. What else? If you need anything, you can always check us out on Instagram, all but Dion. He has Tablet Gram.
I post on Instagram because it's tied to Facebook, but
yeah, I
I'm
know,
just
right?
not an Instagram person.
I was so
Yeah.
proud. And then I saw it and I was like, what the hell? I was like, that came from Facebook. Yep. So as always, we try and create great content for you. Please make sure you hit the like button, also subscribe, but check out these guys over the weekend where we deliver more awesome, fun stuff. You guys have a fantastic rest of your Friday, and we will talk again to you soon. And if you have any questions about the course, just check out the live stream or the course on my channel, which actually is named, oh shit, I'm a landlord. Now what? Full syllabus, take you through everything. You guys can check it out. And I expect it will be a huge help to you. Awesome. Hey guys, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
See ya.
See ya. All right, we're done.